Good morning, guys, and welcome to Dusting Off Warlords, Saga of the Storm, featuring the Alliance format. So, the Alliance format is a new way to play the game that Kingswood Games has kind of revealed. I don't think they've spoiled completely the rules to this, but this is basically Warlords' version of EDH, Elder Dragon Highlander. I guess it's called Commander now, but you have a 70 card deck. You choose two warlords. They don't have to be of the same faction. You cannot have more than one of any card in your deck. So your characters don't suffer a loyalty penalty, and your starting formation is a bit bigger. Instead of the 3 level 1s and 2 level 2s with your warlord, it's 4 level 1s, 3 level 2s, and your 2 warlords. Both your warlords need to die for you to lose. And it's designed as a group format. So when I first read about this, so I still remember, some of you guys who play Magic, you may remember this too. I still remember the first day I learned about EDH. I'm going to keep calling it that because that's what it was called when I was playing. I was a long time ago, before a man recorded his history. I used to work at a game store, and I remember I was sitting there, I was on the computer, I was like looking at GW stuff, and one of the quasi-regulars, his name was Josh, he came in, saw me, sauntered up to the counter, because this dude was a smug bastard, he was great, but he walked up and he slammed this pile of cards on the counter, and I looked at it, and he goes, check this out. And so I picked it up and I went through it, and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm looking at here. And he started to explain to me, how the game is played, how you have your commander, your general, and as he was explaining this to me, and I was looking at his deck, I want to say the guy he had, it was like Rith the Awakener or something stupid, but he finished explaining this to me, and he goes, "What do you think?" And I went, "Huh." And so he went to the back to go show this off to other people, and the first thing I did as soon as he left was navigated away to some kind of magic search engine, and I filtered all the legendary creatures to see what do I want to build. And when I first read about this, I kind of had the same situation where I started going, what combinations would be kind of cool? And immediately, honestly, my first reaction was Saron, Dilcha, and Tarek Justicebringer as Paladins United. Might be better off with, what was his name? Alaron Dilcha instead. But I don't care. Black Sun and Auroch reuniting. I thought that would be kind of cool. I thought maybe Siobhan Ashenstorm and one of the other Siege Masters, either Seth or Skyrax, and just Siege all day. And then my mind went to, you could relive some of the glory days. You could go Havel Tansik and Lord Winter and just give Winter all the hit points. And but I was like, yeah. So I started to kind of scheme on it, and eventually what I decided to come up with was this pairing here. Princess Eliza and Salazar, 2 4th edition warlords. So I went over a lot of what Princess does in my Princess video, and most of that applies here. Obviously, she's not going to have as many opportunities to get Radu Firam online, because the odds of getting him are probably not all that great, since you can only play one of them. But Salazar turns maybe not all, he turns a good chunk of your characters into thralls. And so that by itself, with Princess, all of a sudden now she can start readying a lot of cool things. She can ready Valadan, she could ready Judge Akis. This even turns your dragons into thralls, assuming they're not monsters like that baby dragon. But in addition to that, Salazar himself, being a summoner, he has his own way of kind of quasi-searching for something in a format where you only get one of everything. That seems like that could be kind of nice. But as he's a summoner and he's level 5, he can cast things like Rise and Obey. He can cast I Call Forth Valor. He can cast extensions. He can just he can kind of help maybe find really specific cards that you want. And there's a lot of them. I mean, a lot of the monsters, Blitzer, Shadow Reaver, some of the demons. Again, maybe not as many of those. I do like Getraxos, I think is his name. I think he's pretty nice. But a lot of the kind of situational things might be kind of good in a game like this. I'm specifically thinking of things like Cerebral. I have a feeling Cerebral you might get some value out of that guy in this, because I can see people trying to build ranks and do some stuff. Some of the interactions, I'm sure they're going to hammer these out when the actual rules drop. A couple characters I thought that were kind of interesting from the champion set. Brian, and I think his name is Mingan, is the other one. These characters have the same alignment as your warlord. but I have two warlords and their alignments are different. So I'm wondering, hopefully fingers crossed, Brian gets both. That way she's a fighter with double wounds and she's got the cleric side of her too. I think Brian's just a really solid character if you were playing an evil warlord anyway. Mingen, maybe not quite as much, but he's probably getting a spot in here. The other one would be Jacob Windrider, who can copy the... He becomes kind of a baby version of your warlord. Does he get both of these? I don't know. I hope he does. I'm also curious. So, in the rules to the little section on the alliance format in the comprehensive rules document, it's section what is this 801.5.6. It says your deck may not contain any characters that do not share a faction with one or more of your starting warlords. And then it gives an example, and the example is. For example, if you were playing a Northrog Warlord alongside a Free Kingdoms Warlord, your deck may not contain any mercenaries, devs, elves, dwarves, or the Chosen. But that example is not what the rule says. The rule says they have to share. The rule says your deck may not contain any characters that do not share a faction with one or more of your starting warlords. What about someone like Enki? Enki is a Free Kingdoms mercenary. Can I play her in this? Like by the rule, it looks like yes. By the example, it looks like no. So I probably could have emailed someone. I probably don't want to bother them with this though. So again, I'm sure the actual rules to this will be spoiled at some point, and the clarification for that will come out. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at a bunch of monsters, a bunch of non-monsters that I can ready with Princess. Go searching through my deck with Salazar, and hopefully get these guys going to the front lines. I do like the idea of say I have was it Master Esdea, someone up front who's kind of damaged. And I'm like, he's already got a wound or two on him. He might die. I'm just going to kill him and go get something else, and it comes into play with his orientation. So. Like the sound of that. Hopefully here in a second I'm going to be joined by a couple people to get their takes on what they're scheming on for the Alliance format.
A few moments later.
Okay, so today I am joined by one of my probably the person I've played the most games against. My buddy Clint here. Clint, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Zach?
I am doing better than I deserve. I think actually the only person who I may have played more than you is Drew. Because Drew and I played a crap ton of Campaign Edition, but...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we played a lot of Campaign Edition. That dude, he would... And this is freaking story time here, okay? That dude, he would beat the crap out of me with that Nothrog Uther Monk deck, and he would always tell me, Nothrogs they're the tactical faction, Zach. They're the strategists. And I'm like, really? Because it seems like they just punch people really hard. And he would always be like, no, they're the siege masters and the tacticians. And then Artek came out, and I was like, yeah, Drew, the level of nuance and subtlety to this guy, I could see the tactical application there.
I have to point out my one nitpick about the Nothrogs is that Uthanak is supposed to be the crazy one in the lore, and Kron is the smart one in the lore, and yet their cards reflect the exact opposite.
I think actually, from what I understand, I think that's actually a typo. I think it was intended to be reverse, and then just somewhere along the lines someone did Uthanak and Krun switched, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, it's like it just I'm like you can kind of explain away Krun being like tactical in the sense that he knows where to punch you.
Yeah.
But the Uthanak one is maybe he's scaring his men to go charge forward, like the slave master guy.
Yeah, I think in the fluff, Uthanak was like a bestial person. Like he was nuts. So okay, so it's Sunday night, right? And we're gathered around the table. We're about to throw down on some ancients. You saw what I'm bringing. I'm bringing Princess Eliza and Salazar. Now I'm gonna guess. You did throw out a couple things, but what my initial impression, I'm guessing Tavis and I Am Unsullied. Tavis and I Am Unsullied is my prediction.
That is on my list. That is not the one I would pick to play.
Okay. So what are you slamming down on the table first?
Tavis goes with a lot of people. The one I ended up putting with Tavis is Adorami, because I just think that is such a useful function for Adorami to go search for level 1.
It was a merc and a freak. I was close.
Yeah, very close. Similar to your why you picked the Warlords you did, is that Adorami allows you to search for kind of like niche characters, especially if you only have one of.
Yeah.
You can get around Astral with some. You can have those if you don't want to start Spencer, if you don't want to start Brother. You can search those up for at the right moment.
Yeah.
And having +5s for your level 1s, it just without doing anything seems a little
Seems good.
And if you need to go defensive, you can switch Tavis to evil. I don't know how often I would do that. The interesting aspect I have about that is Tavis can draw a lot of hate by being evil because his effect would still impact opponents' rolls on each other. So.
Oh, I didn't think about that. That's actually pretty clever. You don't really see it. We've talked about this. You don't see evil Tavis terribly often.
Yeah.
The benefits of him being good are just a little too useful. So okay, but so you said that's not what you're putting on the table. What are you? Bringing?
If I were so I had a couple others real quick that I thought were interesting.
First game. We're sitting down. You can't. Okay. Your deck is in your hand. What do we got?
The first one I am playing because I want to try it out is Caitlyn the Free and Belial. I think the toolbox nature of both those warlords is quite good. I think cleric wizard pairing is a decent pairing. It is a little slower on the start. What you do get access to the merc start and some good elves, which is not bad. Belial allows you to get a 6 card in your hand. So the big payoff to me is getting Caitlyn to a level 6 for casting spells and using Belial so that you can get to 6 cards in hand and then ditch it for Hand of Power and make sure that your deck can handle everything taking 1 wound at once and seeing how that affects. Because I have a feeling that there might be a lot of Blitz decks in the very beginning and they may not be able to withstand 2 of my ranks all just died because very few. That's the big payoff. The other one is the fact that you can probably get scrying on either of them pretty nicely. Caitlyn would be the big one to get scrying on, so that she can hold on to a spell that combos well with something that she can go search up. And Belial being able to just look at the top 5 can really help you get a board setup as well with the characters.
Yeah, I guess also what you could do, and again this may be very minor in the scale of things, but if you Belial first and you don't like what you see, you could always use Caitlyn to go, okay, we're gonna go find a spell and we'll reset my top just in case it's like utter garbage. You're like, I don't want to see any of these cards. Nice.
So I'm not sure how good that would be because I've never been a big wizard combo spell player, but I do think those two pair nicely together.
Yeah, anyone who's listening, Clint's card of choice to go grab with Caitlyn the Free is Jump. So
yes, you are correct. That was my favorite.
It works pretty well actually. So
it's because I make her a spell flinging deck almost similar to how you would play Tauth, but it doesn't work out as well because Tauth just has those innate bonuses pretty well.
Yeah, but still getting almost guaranteed. Again, unless they have some way of stopping you retrieving the jump, I mean, your second action could be a meteor swarm.
Yeah.
Or
that is in the deck because I think getting Caitlyn to the second rank first action extremely reliably and letting you target ranks and getting a 5th level wizard into striking range with power bolt or magic missiles I think is pretty good.
Yeah, especially because those cards the effect is not quite doesn't quite line up with how many cards you usually have to toss with Caitlyn since she's level 5. Yeah. Do you have any potential starters or any other interesting kind of deck interactions?
The starters would be for them is Brine Fiend, the mini Brine Fiend, the one that like gets extra hit points at the end of the turn.
Brine Spawn, I think.
Brine Spawn, and then I know there's an elf that has 2 hit points in level 1. I can't remember who it is.
I think Wretched Horde is.
Yeah,
and I believe you have to have a fighter because that's the one you play in Lord Winter.
Yes, that's the one. And then for the other level 1, I hadn't really gone through everything. It would be kind of a toolbox lookup at times, but in general, it would be Regret Shadow. I always like.
God, I freaking hate that guy.
Level 2s, I'd almost always start the Coward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is his name? I can't remember. I'm usually really good at this.
Cal Blackbone, right?
Yeah, Cal Blackborn, I think.
Blackborn, yeah. Cal Blackborn. And a level 3 wizard just starting rank 2, especially now that he has 2 buddies that can go next to him, which will also be I always know him as Teddy Ruskman, but I know that's not who he is. It's,
Tyron Ruskin,
Tyron Ruskin. And then I would start a any good decent range attack elf, so that you're kind of sinking into a very heavy blitz style play with these spellcasters. Belial lets you also, as a 5th level cleric, run a bit defensive. He's a seer, so you can run like precognition and all those fun spells that everyone loves when they as a react.
The counter spells, yeah.
I
think if you were talking about starting Wretched Horde, you could run something like Withian, I think is his name, the guy with stealth. Because he's a fighter, and he might make his stealth checks if they try to shoot him, and as long as he's alive, the Horde won't die.
Oh, that's fair, yeah.
So, because you have to have a fighter within 1 rank of the Horde, otherwise it expires.
Yep.
Huh.
So that would be my first deck I would want to play.
Interesting.
I do think I would fall back on my Alicera and Drask deck in general, because Alicera is just my favorite warlord. I've played her quite a lot. She's extremely good for toolboxing.
Yeah, I think your Alicera versus my Robert is probably one of the most common matchups we've had.
Yes.
And who was the other person? I'm sorry.
Drasik, the cleric.
Drasik Brenge, yeah. Oh, so straight mercenaries then. Nice.
Yeah, straight mercenaries, and then also dragon ranching with the. We've experienced this where we didn't like Drasik because he's not super consistent. But if a 5th level cleric gets dragons into play and can support them, it's pretty unfair at times.
Yeah, especially in 4th where there was at least one level 5, the little baby dragon, and you can start Dragon's Horde, and I think a couple of the times we saw he was kind of consistently dropping something annoying, within the first 2 or 3 actions, and then after that it's like, and he's got healing too, so.
Yeah, and the fact that you can run with Alicera and you get access to all the cleric healing. Life is magic.
Oh yeah, you
consume from within.
You can even run the necromancer stuff and just say, even if it doesn't put him into play, if it doesn't put him into play ready, he's still there. And the dragons are usually fairly survivable. So
and there's some pretty good cleric dragons too. Like I cannot pronounce his name. It's the level 7 cleric dragon.
I think it's like Vertigress or something along those lines.
Yeah, I believe you are correct.
I'm not doing a very good job of remembering things right now.
Neither am I. I actually have the cards.
I think it is Vertigress is what his name is. Yeah,
but like if you can get this is like magical dreamland. If you can get a mass blessing off that dragon, I feel like you're just like, oh cool. I'm already running a 5th level cleric, and if it happens to have this guy, and you can go search for them. Pretty easily.
Yeah, between Alicera's ability to go look for characters and Drasik being able to lower the rank of a dragon by 1, you would not need many characters to have quite a few different options at your disposal.
Well, if you remember how my Alicera deck works, it functions that way, and because usually I go get the first character I get with Alicera is the cleric who reduces the ranks of my entering characters by 1.
Oh yeah, Bem something.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that guy before he got MRP'd in 4th edition? That dude was a mess. He kind of worked the same way, but it didn't work on a lot of things. Like it didn't work on what was it? Lycanthropes, monsters, dragons. It didn't work on creatures, and it didn't move them forward 1 rank. It moved them forward a number of ranks equal to the number of avatars you had in play.
Oh, that's right. I remember him. Okay, yeah.
It was it was
so weird.
I did not see anyone. I'm not saying nobody got any use out of him, but I never saw anybody get any kind of reliability out of that guy. But then 4th edition came along, and it's like, wow, this guy's pretty good. now that he got MRP'd. Okay, so do you have any other anything else in that deck, or what were some of the other pairings that you had in mind?
So in the Alicera deck, I would still run some of the toolbox level 4s and level 5s, like Wanderwretch. I believe we have talked about quite a bit about how he might be the poster child for Epic Edition's like over tuning of things.
What more can we slap onto this guy?
He does so much for a level 4 that it's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah,
because you're just like, oh, why? Like, if I can run him, why wouldn't I? He almost does anything you need him to do.
He does a lot of stuff, yeah.
Along with that is the only problem is I do think Drasik. Drasik is he does kind of fall behind as the game goes on because you don't need the reduced ranks. So I'm not sure if you would actually use his other ability as often, but it does open him. He seems like now that he doesn't die or he doesn't lose the game immediately if he dies, it's not too risky to have him in the second rank.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think, in addition to, if the game gets to a point where you don't really need to build the ranks with him, I mean, if you could somehow like get him to move to a point where he could potentially spend somebody's world, because there's going to be some warlords who they might need like 9s to make that save. Yeah. So, and then I mean, unless something in the rules changes once the actual rules drops. I know there's a lot of speculation going on right now because the rules in the comprehensive document. I'm sure that's not the end of it. Again, there's plenty of things like the alignment thing that I was talking about, but there shouldn't be anything wrong with Alisara casting Life is Magic to keep Drasek alive. Or anything like that. So I mean, he's definitely not going to be one of the more durable people in the deck. But if you have a reason to keep him around, I mean, yeah. Now, do the two of them? Is the only interaction between the two of them just searching for? I think it's just Alisara searching for a dragon, and then him making the dragon interplay at a lower rank, right? Because it's also the cleric, the fact that they're 5th level cleric and a 5th level wizard kind of go together. Well, I meant like direct interaction between the two of them.
Yeah, the direct interaction is only that.
Because I was noticing when I was editing my end of the video, I noticed Salazar turns all your non-monster, non-demons into thralls. That counts himself, but it also counts Princess, so she can, I believe, ready herself with her ability. And he can kill her to go find something. So you're like, you know what?
If you get that desperate,
yeah, you know what? But would it even be desperate? Because what if you grabbed like, I don't know. What if you grabbed something crazy with that? Like, I can't remember if there were any level 6. I know there's some fairly solid level 7 demons. Actually I can't even remember. Fours is one of them, but like there would, because Princess says ready target non-stun thrall, so she is a thrall at that point. She could inspire herself. Interesting. Okay, I'm sorry, I digress.
Oh, you're good. So my last combo that I thought would be, or pairing that would be fun, is a kind of a blitz focused one. It's about getting one of the warlords up there pretty quickly. It's actually a warlord that I've particularly had a issue with, in the sense that I think they are an example of a warlord that does too much, but they're just very good. It'll be Albrecht and Samuel.
I almost said instead of Tavis and I Am Unsullied, I was gonna say Samuel and I Am Unsullied, just because that buff would be really great on I Am Unsullied. But I didn't think you would restrict yourself to a single faction. So,
well, it's not that I would restrict myself to a single faction. It's that Samuel can only target a Free Kingdoms character. So
yeah, okay.
But Albrecht, I think getting that +5 bonus twice is.
That could be you can do a lot of damage with that. Plus, you're playing Freak, so you can start Bakbo and Bala to switch, and then you can also start Borg Ferris to look at, I think it's like, the top 15 cards. You can look at a bunch of cards to find a steed for him, and then you could also start a Gias and Fret and hope somebody kills her, or find a way to kill her yourself.
Well, she's a cleric, right? So you just run like a sacrifice in the deck or something.
Gias and Fret's a fighter.
Oh, she is okay. But it's also a fighter. Rogues tend to have ways to just constantly be swinging. So Albrecht gives himself an extra swing, backhand or backswing as an action card.
Yeah, you have backswing, you have bloodthirsty. I think you could probably play stab with him. You could have him go all out. You could have him cast Hero's Gambit, man.
Well, and you can also
totally do it, and then Samuel can bring him back with Grey Elf's Gratitude.
Well, you could do a lot with him now. I didn't realize that you could use some of that, but yeah.
I'm not sure. Again, it's possible that will change, but when I'm looking at it just right now, I'd have to go back to the actual comprehensive rules document, and I really need to devote an afternoon to just reading that, just so that I don't, because I got a ruling wrong, and that is really embarrassing for me when I get a ruling wrong. Yeah.
Which ruling did you get wrong?
Someone was asking about. It was actually someone asking about Salazar, and Salazar's ability is you kill a thrall and you look at the top. I think it's the top 10 cards of your deck, and if you find a monster or demon within a certain level requirement, you could put it into play. And the question was, do you shuffle your deck? And I said it doesn't tell you to shuffle, so you don't. And I'm actually incorrect about that. I could have sworn.
Yeah, I believe the rule is anytime you search, you have to shuffle, or you search through your deck that you have to. But
you're not searching. You're just looking at the top. You're looking at the top 10. But apparently, broadly speaking, in the comprehensive rules, it covers all that, and it does specifically say if you are anything like that, you would have to shuffle. I think the exception is unless it explicitly tells you not to shuffle. Because I don't think you have to shuffle after Tauren, because you'd have to Tauren shuffle, and I'm pretty sure that's not the case. So
there was one rule question, or not rules question, but interesting interaction that I was looking through that I'm sure someone's going to find a way to make this good. But Huntress Volta being a warlord with another Free Kingdoms, I think, is pretty good, because being able to just give them a level up might open them up to do certain kind of abusive things.
You can have them play some of the 6th level actions. You can play Pit Fight. You can play Medusan. What is it? Medusan Lords Guile or Medusan Lords, whatever those 2 6th level classless ones are. You could probably find some value out of that. I mean, worst case.
Well, you can also have it to where Huntress Volta is the one that goes to the front and does normal fighter cleric things, and the other one sits in the back and just might wait for that buff and then kind of build up items that way, almost like a pseudo King's Odd, but not as search friendly.
Yeah, probably not as quick either, because you'd have to wait for Volta to die.
Yeah,
and then as soon as people realize that, I mean, I don't know how much Volta would get done by herself. I mean,
well, you can also run some of the build items for her, not the high level ones, but the more generic ones. If she's a fighter cleric, gives bonuses to other people, so she can become a target innate in that. Do I really want a Free Kingdoms warlord buffing all their little guys as they typically do,
especially when you start with 4 level 1s and 3
level 2s.
So interesting.
But yeah, I just couldn't I didn't think of anyone to pair well with her, but I do think she will find somebody that's goes well with her.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, there's any of the you could pair her with, like I said, I Am Unsullied. He wouldn't mind getting an extra level because he's got his 4 swings, and
well, he also gets a bunch of subtypes at that point too now, instead of just Paladin.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. I forgot. She gives them also Ranger and Druid.
Yep.
Aw, interesting.
Now, I don't think he can play any of the Druid actions, but it's not bad. Especially being a Ranger Paladin. There's a whole Warlord who's dedicated to being both those with no ability.
He's also a Barbarian, though, sir.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
He's got all 3 of the subclasses. So.
Oh, how special for him.
It never even occurred to me when I was looking at pairings and I thought of the Freak Paladins and the Dev Paladins uniting. Yeah, I think his name's Ragnar. He never even crossed my mind because there's not enough Northrop Paladins, and I would want the entire Paladin package.
Oh yeah.
If there's a card that's a non-Paladin, it needs to be a very specific.
I always wondered how he got the Paladin subclass in this lore.
If memory,
I thought it was something he personally went on a journey and not something he went to a school. Okay.
From what I understand, and again, this could be wrong. I think this got answered on the temple years and years ago. I think Andrew Getting or someone answered it, but he is a paladin to Natural Hate. He is so fanatically devoted to him that it's not just he's not just an elite hate guard. He's he treats Natural Hate almost as a patron deity for him, and so. From what I understand, that's what it is. I could be getting that wrong, and I would not be surprised if I am mistaken. But that's what it is. His devotion to hate it transcends a normal knight's service. It transcends a normal bodyguard service. It's yeah.
Actually, you could also do a different setup with her. Is make it so that you almost have 3 warlords.
I'm pretty sure there's you. Well, you can. Well, I'll let you finish, then I'll go off on mine.
No, I just mean at that point you just have someone else rush to the front, and then have her as backup, and then finally a third character gets to be another war. You're just how difficult is it to eliminate this one player?
You can do a lot. You can do her. You can have your other warlord will be Ferris Bachman, because you can have 3 copies of him.
Yeah.
So you'll have her 3 copies of him, and it's freaks. So you can also play. The advisor guy. What the heck was that guy's name? He was the original Your Warlord Doesn't Die. I can't remember his name. He's a 3rd level wizard. I
can't remember either.
You can run him, and then I think his name is Tavin. He's an evil druid who he can wound your warlord to heal people, and when your warlord dies, he becomes a warlord.
Yeah.
And then I think what is it? Squires. There's an item that works like that too. I can't remember what it's called. But,
the Hydra of Free Kingdoms.
Yeah, it's there goes another warlord.
Cut down one of us, 2 of us shall appear.
I don't know. I asked this in my video, and again, I don't know the answer to it. But in 4th edition, they also got I think he's a freak Nothrug who's dual faction, and I believe he has the built-in ability to gain levels when he kills equal or high level characters. And I believe once he hits level 5, he is also a warlord. So, I mean, the possibilities are endless. That's so stupid.
I'm actually about to look him up. While he is level 5 or higher, he has the Warlord trait. React once per turn after he kills an equal or higher level opposing character. He permanently gains +1 level, +2 attack, +2 AC, +2 skill, and +1 hit point. And he starts off as level 2.
Yeah.
So he has to do it. Oh, no, what you could also do with him is run Sir Lucian.
Yeah, but
even more.
But if you're running Lucian, you're not running.
True.
You're not running Volda, and you're not running.
No, that's fair.
Ferris, and Ferris is 3 warlords by himself.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Huh.
But yeah, just like the unending wave of Free Kingdom warlords, or better than the Hydra name. I'm Spartacus of Free Kingdoms.
I can't remember what the name of the card is, but there's a flavor text on it's some campaign edition card. And the flavor text is basically, it's some freak guy saying, I'll gladly die to kill you, Deveranian, because your army only has one captain, and there's 100 more where I came from.
Oh yeah,
that's very much a Free Kingdom.
Is that quote, on a warlord, or is that on just a regular feat?
I think it's on some random action. I don't really remember. It's been a long time, but do you have any other maybe closing thoughts on the Alliances format as a whole? What I am hoping, and because you and I have talked about this, I am just hoping it doesn't turn into what EDH turned into, where everybody starts showing up with, well, I do dual decks, and it's but it's kind of made as a multiplayer format.
Yeah.
But I play Raphaelos, and I cast Plow Wonder on turn 2, and and it's
Well, I do think one of the things that will keep that in check is the fact that there's a lot less control factors in Warlord. You don't have as many counter spells or anything like that. And then the other one is, similar to Commander in some ways, is that being an aggro strategy tends to leave you at a slight disadvantage since you have more than one opponent. But
yeah, I guess just the nature of. In Warlord, when you're spent because you attacked, it's not like in Magic where you're defenseless because your creatures are tapped.
Yeah.
Your bodies are still there, and yeah. I mean that's my only real concern. I don't really think it's gonna be a problem, but I also don't know. I don't know if the game is gonna pick up around here or not. And I'm really selective about who I game with, so. Okay, well, I guess on that note, do you have any final thoughts on the Alliances format or Warlord in general? Because you've been playing for about as long as I have, right? You've been playing for.
I think I started a little after you because I think you started around the same time Brad and Drew did.
Oh no, I've been playing way longer than them. They started.
Did you? Oh.
Yeah, they started in campaign or a little bit before campaign, and I started in I think it was Assassin's Strike. I've been playing. Pretty much.
Brad's the one that introduced the game to me, so.
Okay, so that was at. Oh, so that was at Gamers Keep then. Okay. So
Yep. But
okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
I guess on that note, thank you for joining me on this.
No, you're welcome, Zach. It was a pleasure. I'm shocked that there's a little bit of unexpected pairings that I brought up. I thought you would have figured these ones out for me.
I was close.
You were close on the first one. You were very close on the first one.
Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
A few moments later.
Okay, and in addition, I am being joined once again by Rich Carter. Rich, thank you again so much for joining me on this little series I'm doing.
I'm happy to be here. When they started, announcing this Alliances format, I got called out personally on a number of different, channels saying, "Hey, why didn't they just call it the Carter format?" And so now I have to deal with the impending aftermath.
Yeah, well, I mean, considering I know Clint, he has I think a couple Highlander decks, but you are pretty much the Highlander. You are the one that there can only be. So I'm interested to see what you've cooked up.
I enjoy it as a format. The card pool is deep enough and wide enough that there's very little that you can't do and still feel mostly consistent. I mean, there's those cards that feed off of X copy type of mechanics that really want you to do more of, whether that's, final blow, final what's the final series?
That's what final
Final
power,
blow.
final blessing,
Final
final
power, yeah.
final truth. I don't remember. I know what you're talking about though. Yeah, I'll put the images.
Yeah. Final trickery. Yeah. So, there's those. They kind of feed off of you want to win multiple copies of those, or just certain tactics and strategies where, having a rogue run 3 backstabs and 3 assassinates is kind of good.
Yeah, definitely. It almost seems like that particular. I was thinking about that. Rogues in particular. When I'm playing normal games, there's kind of a. I don't know if you've experienced this, but like if I'm up against a rogue warlord, spending for any option where they're able to make strikes on me is like I'm not gonna do it. But now when they've only got a couple effects like that, they have assassination, they have backstab, they have coup de grace,
and knife after dark.
Yeah, but it's nowhere near as at least to me, it doesn't seem like it's anywhere near as they're not going to consistently have those. So still probably.
It brings more varieties to the game. So my first Highlander Madness was, I think, it was a mix. I did one with Seth Hellbringer, and was having a lot of fun with it, and I took that to an event in Oklahoma City and made the cut in like a 45-person event with just random jank cards coming together at the right moments, and my deck was punching above its weight class. And
Nice.
About the same period of time, they allowed the Dragon Lords freedom with their deck designs, because up until then there was like a fixed list of, I don't know, 30 to 40 cards. Like, okay, your Dragon Lords decks have these, and you get to customize the last 20 cards or so.
Yeah, there were only what, 2 Dragon Lords back then? There was Aldrich and then Drax and Roll?
Aldrich and Draxon, and I can't remember if we had Morgan at that point or not.
I want to say we didn't see
In
Morgan
terms of the
until
timeline, I
campaign.
can't remember.
Yeah. Anyway,
But yeah, they had opened up the deck constructions, and I think at some point in there was Aldrich's we'll say farewell tour. They weren't going to plan on printing more or whatever, so they gave us wide range, and I did my first Highlander Dragonlord deck, and it performed way above its weight class.
Nice.
Rich Bowers-Dean borrowed it, went to take challenges, came back, I don't know, 2-3 hours later, says this thing is insane. And one of the other Dragon Lords, Dennis Streschmeyer up in Portland, he built one. He ran an event for 14 hours. He did 10 a.m. to 2. He did 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. Took over 100 challenges in a day and didn't lose one with a Highlander Drax and Roll. And so the format can work. And up in Sacramento, I had a regular group of players that was getting games in, and I was just trying to spice it up with some more variety. So that was the first batch of Highlanders, and then I'm up to 22.
Was
somewhere in there.
Was Saga one?
No, I was
that
playing Great Escape Games.
Great Escape, okay, yeah.
And so yeah, I still have like 20 to 25 Highlander decks currently in the box. No, more, since I did one for each of the 20th anniversary Warlords.
Nice.
And so I like the format. I like finding some different things. The ones that are in my box are not terribly great in terms of my Warlord choices. They're heavily themed. They're okay. I'll run is it Zevel Adinarak? I'll run Zevel Adinarak and see what crazy synergies I can make out of a Bard Assassin. And that's what that deck does. Or my Zod deck uses runes and digs for Hero's Blade.
Oh, I remember the runes. That was good times. What is it? Rune of Swift Striking.
It has like 5 ways to trigger a critical hit. So then it makes Hero's Blade trigger, and now Zod is swinging with a critical hit on 15 or better. And it's a silly deck, but when it moves, people are like, are you doing 5 wounds per hit? Yes. So buckle up.
Nice.
On a Highlander deck. So it could be better if it was better tuned. But so the Highlander format, I enjoy. This Alliance, going with a bigger deck, that's just more cards for me to put in. I often run my decks fat anyway, so I'm not heartbroken by trying to push for a 70 card.
Yeah.
And more starting formation is always better, and getting synergies off of Warlords is extra exciting since starting with Campaign Edition, they didn't design any of the Warlords to work together.
Yeah.
Deliberately, so you can get some unforeseen advantages, and there's a lot more, we'll say post campaign, you get a lot more board wide effects. All your paladins get X, all your lycanthropes get X type mechanics, so you can really get some nice things feeding off of each other.
Indeed.
Now, my only pushback on this alliance format when it was originally started seeing anything was that their intent was for multiplayer. Multiplayer is a crazy world.
Yeah. Oh yes. Oh yeah.
It's hard to feel like you can do a competitive multiplayer free for all sort of game. Because as soon as you stick your neck out a little too far, then you're in a 2 against 1, 3 against 1 setup, and very few decks can handle just that volume of strikes just on random critical hits.
I agree with you. I think my main takeaway when I first saw this was, and I don't know if I mentioned this in my part of the video or not, but this is basically, I mean, this is Warlords EDH, and I remember when or Commander, I guess it's called now, when EDH first came out, it was designed, as far as I can remember, it was a casual multiplayer format. So I agree with you that multiplayer competitive, those almost seem like at least free-for-alls. That almost seems like those two are mutually exclusive, because as soon as somebody starts pulling ahead, they get a big target, a big bullseye, and then everyone makes a beeline for them. We actually saw this. We saw this in
a social engineering game.
Yeah, we saw this in L5R. I don't know if you ever did L5R much, but there was a hierarchy of who had to die and in what order. It's like you have to kill the monk first because you don't want him enlightening out. Then you have to kill the crane and the phoenix because you don't want them honoring out. And so if you went in with one of those factions, it's like everyone's gunning for you at that point. And so on one hand, you can't.
In L5R, those had those were essentially instant win sort of strategies. When it kicked off, there was no
in L5R Enlightenment. If you got all 5 rings in play, you won immediately.
So there was no moment where you could go, okay, we have they're getting up there, we have to deal with them now. It's like as soon as you think it's approachable, then you have to wipe them out.
Oh, it wasn't even as soon as you thought it was. Is like as soon as and this was back like before Gold Edition. As soon as the monk player sat down, everybody was like, he has to die because he can materialize a win out of nowhere. The honor runners, they had to wait till their turn began for them to win, and so as soon as they crossed 40, everyone's like, okay, line up and start hitting them, because if you don't, so I do agree with you that I don't know if this will work as anything competitive. I am not a competitive player, like at all. So when I first saw this, I'm like, I love the sound of this, and I hope it ends up being what I envision it being, as just a kind of a casual sit around with your friends, drink beers, roll dice, laugh at stupid stuff kind of game.
Do things that shouldn't happen.
Exactly.
Well, so I did make myself a couple of quick notes on how I would approach it if I was trying to be, we'll say, an effective multiplayer.
Okay.
And really, I kind of aim it as there's 2 routes. I wrote down 2, but then the answer is actually 3. One is key up heavily on defense. Whether you're looking at the best AC overall as a faction, so probably doing like a Dwarf or Devrenian, key off of Mass Blessings, Embolden. I said Blessings, sorry. 1 Mass Blessing, 1 Embolden, 1 Lift Up Your Voices. All the ones that will give a rank-wide boost, because in a big game where you got 3 opponents, if you just make yourself look like not the target because they're just wasting their efforts, then by default either someone else is going to lose characters, or you're going to be able to stretch, do some damage to everybody, and then be okay, I'm in a better position than you guys are, because, and hopefully carry that forward into the following turns. Maybe some punishing reactions, Amara Tansik type stuff, way with a Sadra, so when they do kill something, you have an instant response, and you're making sure to remove other threats from the side of the board. Or there's the overwhelming instant offense sort of approach.
Okay.
I think you mentioned in text someone trying to do Hand of Power.
Yeah. I believe you were. I think you and Clint both independently came to doing that. And that could be brutal if that's like one of your early actions, like action 2 or 3. That could.
That could be action 1 and there's whether I could say that I'll move that to my pair ups. Yeah, you could do that action one. Another one that's possible action one, I brainstormed this with one of the guys up in Yuba City last month, is a first action Secret of the Suns.
Yeah, you mentioned that to me too, and that I know you only have one of them, but oof.
And that's, you can do that with any faction because you starting enough characters that if you have all fighters in your starting lineup and you have one spare member of the lineup, whether that's one of your warlords or a utility piece.
Yeah, and that could come off of an Akvuk, that can come off of a Timok, a Squire Arrogant. There's a lot of things where that's
a Sanuris and suddenly be doing extra wounds on it, all the strikes. Timok, and it's a fixed amount. It's a +6, so the bonus on the character is inconsequential. Oh, you could do that off of a Tissanok just to be rude.
Just to be extra cute.
I know it says -1, but we're gonna ignore that number. Anyone who's got some built-in like carryover reacts that could shut down enemy reacts, or
Ryan
the
Morton.
one I can think of there is like the Free Kingdoms guy, but I think he's still only once per turn that he shuts down. Characters reacts.
Yeah, I believe that's Ryan.
Something like that could really blow up and go, okay, now that I've hit all of you and hopefully crippled all of you, yes, I stuck my head out there, but I still have all my other characters.
The amount that could put you ahead, it might not matter if they all like unite against you at that point.
Then the third one that kind of popped in my head as a tactic and strategy, it will still stick your head out and cause reactions from the rest of the table.
Draw aggro.
But, no, I was thinking sniper tricks, because you can set up your board, and then if you're doing a rapid shot, assassin's arrow, kill shot, then someone disappears suddenly, and it isn't like you've even done a whole lot of effort to target them. You could, their board state might not have taken any of your strikes until you headshot them. That could also be like a Sakar, Vorpal Blade, Votar Charm. I don't remember how the interesting multi-factional rules if they even let Sakar play. I can't remember.
I don't think they do. It doesn't. It looks like you have to choose your starters from what's in your deck, and the guild masters. I really don't like that this is the case. I would make an exception for it, but it looks like they can't pick out of faction starters because the starters are not legal to be in your deck in the first place. That's what it looks like to me. I could be wrong.
Yeah. I think pretty much my reading of it is any of the stuff that is designed to break faction isn't going to work. So whether that's Vronish Kez, Burshar Nin, Zeanth, Marcus Shaw, all those just kind of go, that ability is now blank.
Now, and this is I think one of the reasons why I look at this format as less of a competitive thing and more of just a beer and pretzels is in your play groups, if you want to change that, and this is I know this is mostly a nod to anyone who's listening. If you don't like that rule, just change it. Just be like, I want Belial. It's not that he doesn't do anything when he doesn't have his guildmaster ability, but that's a really big part of his character. So if you guys just decide, he can start other clerics. That's fine. If your guys' group is okay with it, then you're good to go.
Yeah, what you may make I'd say a variation is the out of faction penalty. So if you're not using an ability to avoid it, is that the character dies or something like that is the way you want to make it as a house rule. Like, okay, if you can make it in faction through character abilities, again, like Burshar Nin, was it Manmel Ravello?
Yes, from 4E.
Great. But there's no choice to play it stunned and just say, here it goes. You get to play it stunned and then kill it.
Yeah.
I can't come up with a good reason to do that. Maybe if somebody got charge tokens for death and dismemberment. But so that's kind of where I was on the whole multiplayer and the Highlander approach. I guess I could give a little blurb on how many or most of mine are about. There's enough internal redundancy in the card pool that you might not be able to do 3 copies of, but you can do 3 copies of the same type of effect.
Yeah, you got 1 Nimble Fingers, you got 1 Steady Aim, you got 1, Guild Taxes, something like that. Yeah,
something like that. Most fighter decks anyway don't double and triple up on their steeds. They do 1 copy of 3, 4, 5 different steeds, so that if they draw 2 on the opening hand, they can use them both and scurry to the front. So that doesn't really change anything. You find things that will by themselves be consistent, and you kind of go for let's see. I say no combos, but nothing that combos weird. So, okay, this combos with a melee strike, but I'm going to be performing plenty of those. So that's not like a combo. The second piece of that combo is not a stretch.
Yeah, you're not having to dig for it. It's something that's
combos
readily
with
available.
steeds, but I'm running 7 steeds, so that's not a stretch. This combos with my Warlord, so I expect one of them to be in play.
Hopefully. Yeah.
And then I went ahead and ran through all the Warlords, and most of my, we'll say, okay, good may be overstating it, but we'll call it good ideas. Best ideas we'll go with.
Best ideas, I like it.
We're in faction. Cross-factionally, I have a small list of ones that I think would work.
Tell me one of them is the Paladins United. That everyone has to like that. That's so cool. Having Auroch and Black Sun rejoining forces together. Oh.
I did not put that on my.
Oh, Rich, no.
No.
Poor Tarek.
No. The best themed ones I've got on that list do Tyza and Trespass. So you got double stealth assassins.
Okay.
So whichever card you find in the mix, you should be able to bring it on. Beastmaster Eladric, and either Yaskar the Elder or Varsin Yaskar.
Yeah.
You're gonna get a fixed bonus, and you can stack a whole bunch of Lycanthrope and Dirty Trickery there. There is the thematic Inquisitor Kyre and Kedrick, or Andalwick, if we're going just bring on the monks.
Monks, yeah.
But I think most people will be disappointed in that matchup or that assemblage, because in a Highlander you're going to run out of monk actions.
Yeah, there's not too many monk actions.
Although pretty fast.
Kedrick does have fighter actions though too. So.
Yeah, but there's a second Warlord you're going to be running, so you're going to be disappointed.
I would not be disappointed. I would have fun with that.
Now, for one that popped, and I wrote down, but I realized it's not good because of the other side of it. So Braum Frostbeard from 4th edition paired up with Angu Mournwater.
I was just thinking.
Because now you have a dragon, so you get his +3 DC on his water and
it's water and earth.
Earth actions, but there's not enough of those really to make it pay off. And then you're combining a wizard and a cleric, and who's doing the heavy lifting there? Etra Bloodvine, and I would say probably a Free Kingdoms Druid, so you can go all the Druids and mess with everybody's ranks.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. We don't play Etra Bloodvine.
No, Etra Bloodvine ruined the game for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
So it's good to bring that back and remind them. Burshar Nin, even though you won't get to take advantage of his out-of-faction trick, putting him with any other faction to do a cavalry build.
Yeah, that's a lot of movement you can get out of that.
And really ignore if the characters in that faction aren't bringing, if the Northrog characters aren't bringing something irresistible, you just have a Free Kingdoms cavalry deck, and you've got a guy who says, spend order, move all your Free Kingdoms forward.
Yeah.
And, you do that with a Sir Robert.
Yeah.
The original Sir Robert, and your
rank discount, yeah.
Yeah, that's a fast track to the front rank. My other one I'm putting, I do have a Sir Ron on here, but I'm pairing him up with all the skill penalty elves. Okay, I say all.
I'm guessing Lady of Pain?
Yeah, Lady of Pain would probably be the right way to. No, because Lady of Pain doesn't really matter because her.
Oh, it won't be in time. Yeah, you're right.
Would not be during initiative. So you'd start a Tybast and you'd have the level 3 one in deck and
Typhara.
Yeah, Typhara in deck, and so that's just to get that DC check up. It's not a great plan.
When people failed Ron's save, so little story time. Rich, I don't know if you ever did. You ever play on Apprentice with some of us? Was that on?
No, I did not.
Okay, so when I was growing up, when I was playing Warlord back then, I had no money, so I couldn't really buy anything, and so playing on Apprentice gave me an opportunity to actually play with people that were not around the 707 California area, but also with cards obviously I would never be able to play with. And there was a time, I don't remember, I think it was another Zach. I think it was Dev Knight Zach. I think he was one of the Jersey players, but he was doing something with dragons, and my plan had completely gone off the rails. I didn't get Stormbrand. I think the only thing I got was the armor, the no range strike armor. I was spent in rank 1. I had 2 wounds on me. The game was over. He had Blackwind. He had The item destroying one. I think
Terror Shard.
Yeah, Terror Shard. And some other freaking random crap. I was so dead it wasn't even funny. Initiative comes, and both of those dragons failed their DC 9 fear saves by rolling natural ones. I still lost, but it was like the
had
idea.
your moment.
It was hilarious. Yeah, that was so long ago, but I still remember it because it was great.
Yeah, so Ron plus elf trickery, maybe even adding in an elf cleric so that you get some of the board-wide spend actions that clerics can bring to the party.
Yeah, I think with
they're all spent. So next turn we'll see if they can handle the DC 11.
Yeah, in addition to that, if you're talking about it specifically a cleric with Ron, with Stormbrand giving him permanent hit points, if you can have a 5th level cleric, like say Ron's killed, I mean this is Dreamland, but say Ron's killed like 7 or 8 people and he's got a total of 10 hit points, but he's got 9 wounds on him, that cleric, if he casts, Cure Lethal Wounds, you're right back to square one with that Ron there, and like he might start harvesting more.
You don't even need to go that far because not 40.
Oh, the MRP, the Epic Edition, Cure Serious
is only a level 2 spend order and removes all from a character in this rank. And he can cast that on himself.
Oh, if your Ron is casting that on himself, that's a sad Ron. But yeah, I do agree.
Or it's a happy Ron because he's like, I just bought myself 7 extra turns.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Nice.
But yeah, and the other one that I threw on here, so Nothrog Siege Tech brings a lot to the double Warlord party.
Yes. I was looking at Savon, Ashen Storm with probably Skyrax.
But before we get to the in-faction matchups, it's choose Ablung the Maker.
Oh, dear.
Because he's the only siege warlord, whether that's now Savon's making him go extra rank on his shots and extra wounding, or Skyrax giving him +2 to everything he tries to do, or Seth Hellbringer giving you a readying action.
I do not ever think that Ablung the Maker is the correct decision, so...
Oh, until it is. Until it is.
Oh, no. There's
more
insanity.
targets, so you could run a full leveling package out of Ablung.
I'm sure you're having fun with this, Rich. This sounds absolutely horrifying to me. So.
Well, yeah, just because the starting armies have more level 2 targets, so you should have an opportunity to pick one off and level, or moving up the ladder, or whichever in class leveling you can get your hands on. No. And then it just gets weird.
Nope. What was the card? There is a card with the flavor text.
No, it's not a good idea.
Always remember that Ablung was mad. Okay, I don't remember what card it was, but I know that's a flavor text somewhere.
So yeah, those are my out of faction ones, and then the one I came up with last night is really open to interpretation. So it's Sigrida out of the Dwarves.
Okay.
Sigrida Valora. And so after starting armies are revealed, search your deck for a helm, armor, or shield level 8 or lower. Put it in your hand. It doesn't say fighter, helm, armor, or shield.
Okay.
So, and this is also a thing kind of bypass the Highlander problem because you're guaranteeing a piece of your, let's say, combo puzzle. So choose the rogue you'd like to go with, dwarf or otherwise, and give them, say, Martyr's Hide.
Interesting.
And you're set to go out the gate with the unlimited riposte and defend checks. Choose somebody with the best skill you can get your hands on and run with it.
Yeah, that's interesting. You are,
and that was the idea that I had with rogues. I did not dig in for what you can come off with the trickery of an armor helm or shield for clerics and wizards.
Yeah, no.
But if you did it, I'm on a. I've got it open, so let me go here.
Oh God.
Let's see, 8 or less.
Rich is scheming, guys.
We want a helm because I think this is going to be gross. And
you are correct that I don't think I've ever thought of looking for anything but the fighter thing, because the idea of even using that
because it's her.
Yeah,
and you always played her solo. All right, so all right. Helm of Undying is a level 8 wizard helm.
Helm of Undying is not even legal in Ancients, is it?
Yes, but in Alliances, awesome. we're not beholden to Ancients.
I looked at this specifically, and it looks like you can play Jatuya's Sign in this format.
It's a complicated mess because it still needs to be,
yeah.
Yes, so yeah, that's where you can go. Okay, what is the biggest impact item that I can use Sigrita to get on the board. I mean, even like Cowl of Dulon, so you can play a spell in your discard pile and then remove it from the game. So you could start with that, put it on the wizard you start alongside you, and get double uses out of all your spells in a Highlander deck, which is huge.
Now, I don't know if going along the same train of thought that we can play Jatu Sign, do you think we can start the rings from Stolen Destiny in this? Because it isn't Ancients.
I believe so.
That is some...
It becomes wild whether you want to go with the fighter ring and you go, well, I'm starting with 7 extra characters. Let's go with... I mean, definitely not for multiplayer. You just run out of steam real fast.
But what a glorious run it would be. That's interesting. Again, I'm wondering if some of these questions are going to get answered when the actual set drops. I'll let you finish. I have just a couple things I was going to ask, but I'll wait till the end.
So yeah, those are kind of my cross ones. So Sigrita, that could also go with a dwarf deck, and you're just being reliably able to start with, I don't know, Griss's double-bitted axe.
Yeah,
or
you can do a lot with
Dragon
that.
Buckler, or something that when you strap it onto your dwarven partner, you just run with it. And we'll go to a couple of things I threw on here for wildness.
Okay.
Combination of Jorn the Summit, Goodleafer, Zod, choose which 2, will put you in a situation of +2 levels for equipping things.
Yeah. Going back real quick to what you were talking about, what you were talking about as far as competitiveness, the closest thing I was able to get to was somebody building, because the items stick around unless they remove them, and you have a lot longer to just stall because you got that extra rank, and you can even shove one of the other warlords up there if you have to buy you some time.
Yeah. So the item trickery out of dwarves, similarly you've got come on, I know I put another one on here. No, that's all right. The rest of these are in the readying concept, whether you're using Brahm for readying one of your level 4 warlords, because there's a number of multi-class ones, whether that's Stonefist or Gethsim.
Yeah.
Or Valhalla. You can combine any of those with either Brahm for readying or Natesh for readying, because he readies anyone who's just lower level.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I've got my Have It stance and whatever strapped onto Valhalla, and we're going to use him twice per turn for a low charisma check. Priam has a built-in readying. Garn has enough. It was Priam and Garn combining with Gethsim, so you got more ways to remove wounds. Valhalla with Gethsim. So you've just got a consistent ability to heal and perform a strike off of it. And then you could look at some sort of gargoyle madness. Stonefist and Eridun, or Stonefist and Shonguard, or even Thek Rockbender, because he gives all gargoyles within 1 rank of him extra punch.
Yeah, +3, I believe.
Yeah, something like that. So that is kind of my dwarf ideas. I mean, combining several of them have elements that target a lower level dwarf, and so combining that with any of the multi-class level 4s, and you can squeeze a lot of reliability out of that.
Yeah.
Deverenians should have started because of alphabetical. Sir Alaron and Ron Delchant. Actually, it's a Sir Alaron and either Ron or Caton or Minotaur are nice combos, because Sir Ron gives his bonus to all of them for writing. Caton will let all your paladins cast spells, and then you run with that.
Yeah. No, my paladin, my freaking dev paladins, I think it would probably be better off with different ones. I just, as a fluff bunny, I like the idea of Ron and Tarek actually joining forces. But yeah, Chiton and Alaron, because I think Alaron is the one who gives them the writing, along with Chiton to give them the, you're probably going to be running steeds. And again, like you said, the ability to cast spells and just, you might get...
everyone gets boosts, and it's just fighters being beat sticks.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the math is not very complicated, but... or you can look at like a Cardinal Cray and Madriga. So you got double cantors. So you can go lift up voices, mass bless, and embolden. And you've got bonuses that just are consistently generating. Wrote this one down. I'm trying to remember what I did with it. So Father Jourdain. Okay, that's right. Why did I say it with Joden Drag? Okay. Because when they makes Joden Drac into a planar Storm Wraith with -6 AC. Oh, and then he can give a -6 to stats because of Joden Drac is level 6. Okay, that's why that. All right, we'll just Father Jordan and any Deveranian that you can now turn into planar and stack things up. I can't remember who has like generic board-wide Storm Wraith benefit. Alaron. So you would also get Riposte out of the deal.
Okay.
Then you're planar Alaron and hide behind that. It's not a great idea.
Yeah, but this format is not about great ideas. It's about madness. It's about having a good time.
So you can take like Kestrel the Deceiver and a fighter that you want to tank up on because he's just going to give those bonuses to, and then Kestrel's going to hide in the back rank and still cast his spells.
I'd have to. I don't have it in front of me, but you could do Kestrel with I don't know, some what is it, Talib Al-Seer, and have him go stealth in. So like, there's no way you're not going to be able to target your spells, no matter how far away they are.
As long as they aren't too close because of range spells. But yeah, no. Adonis the Cozener and Sir Rallin. So everyone's doing range shots, and there's a DC check.
Oh, that built-in defense, yeah.
Or a failure, and you just be like, no, here come shots from the dark.
Someone was advocating for chess clocks in these events for the online circuit, and I think Adonis is like, he might be the poster child for that. Like the amount of time you are wasting every turn having to make those DC checks.
Oh.
Like,
yeah,
especially because the players are sharing a clock. Like, I'm not saying it's unfair, but like coming from, because I used to play War Machine at a fairly high competitive level, and just switching the clock over for people rolling a toughness check, a D6 roll, like it adds up really, really quickly how much time it uses up. So.
Oh yeah. So that's what I had for Deveranian ideas. I don't know. What else I throw in here? So looking next on the alphas, we got elves. Either using Audrey for any boost that you want to make of a DC check. So there's a variety of warlords you could combine that with, or just combine that with a wizard who's going to throw DC whatevers.
Yeah, +5's no joke. And again, like it's not like you're going to have easy access to empowered spell most of the time. So it's
pitch a card. You should, if you throw out enough different pieces in your deck, you'll have something you can spare. And elves, there's some elves that like being in the discard pile.
Yeah.
Bronwyn Tanzik is the one who can generate an instant first turn hand of power.
Yeah, that's correct. You would pretty much. I don't think there's too many wizards who that wouldn't work with immediately, right?
That was one of the other notes with on in faction ideas. Some of my brain is pillaging things we've done for doubles because I've participated in a number of different doubles events, and some of those you use all these same tricks. Like, I get to ready my partner who has a lower level dwarf. Cool. So some of this is just double stuff, and I think one of my Cohit Germany tournaments, we were doubled up doing Bronwyn, Raziel, Hand of Power, and the European team that we faced was using Bronwyn, Raziel, Hand of Power, and I think we had two of them go off in the same first turn, and then it was multiple falling. Level 3 elf, when he falls, he performs a range strike.
Yeah.
He was happening, and level 1 elves were popping out of our hands to fill ranks immediately, and we had a number of nested reacts on like action 1, turn 1. Bronwyn boosting up, whether that's to use the Hand of Power or you use the actually you could do both. You could run Hand of Power and you could run the Secret of the Suns in the same deck. You just do, because you're adding +3, that will get you over the line. So you could do a wizard Bronwyn and a wizard warlord and all fighter level 1s and 2s, and you could pop that off, either of those off, if you were looking for not making friends.
Yeah.
Then Haviland Tansic and Lord Winter.
Yes.
Either the 4E one or the original one. Kind of depends on your mood.
Original all the way.
Well, the benefit of the 4E one, so the original gets the multiple readies, but the 4E one can be healed.
Nope, original. I would go with the original. I'm very.
I've done enough Winter Chainsaw, and knowing that I can source all those hit points locally is is a dangerous thing. You could go with double liches, double Morgans.
Oh, Morgan twice. Yeah, because you would have to. I don't remember if it's any good or not. But if I'm remembering correctly, one of the lich items is specific to him. Like you can't have Morgan the Ever Living. You have to have Morgan. I think it's the Soul Chamber. Like you have to have Morgan Dithanus himself.
But it starts in your hand. I think.
No, they both have one. The 4E one has his little phylactery thing. But if I'm remembering correctly, back in pre-campaign, again I think it's called the Soul Chamber.
Let's see. Skull of Dithanus, you need to have a level 4 or higher Lich. Spirit Reaver, you need to have a 5th level or higher Lich. Hand of Morgan, you need to have a 4th level or higher Lich. Eye of Morgan, 5th level or higher Lich. And then Dithanus Essence is Lich only.
Yeah, no, Soul Chamber is a level 4. It doesn't actually mention Liches. It's just you have to have a Morgan Dithanus in your army to play it. They both do very similar things. So if you're wanting to play your wizards on the edge and either move them to the front or just make damn sure they're gonna survive whatever your opponents throw at them.
Oh yeah. Well, and you get the hold on. That Morgan. Let me spell it wrong. Excellent. I spelled it right. Other elf wizards in this rank get +1 level for casting spells.
Oh, then you've got another, yeah.
Push level 6 spells on action 1, which would be a Hand of Power.
Yeah.
And we're back to the Hand of Power.
All roads lead.
Yep. And this one was wild. If you want to do a sacrificial play, Theckham Netherin and any level 4, or we'll say lower level, because they've also got the level 3 guy, elf warlord, because Theckham can keep bringing him back in the opposing army.
Someone on the Facebook group mentioned Theckham with Simon Abraxas. No, it's not quite the same, but I thought that was kind of cute.
Simon's not bad because then you're just recycling stuff out of your own discard pile. But I was just looking at the super consistency of, I run Fade Rowan to the front, and you get all happy because you killed my planar rogue wizard cleric, and then I final power one of your level 1s and just put them right back into play.
Yeah, you pulled an altered beast. Rise from your grave.
Otherwise, yeah, I mean, you could look at like some Rustique and some undead combinations, Lorena Kennett, and a deck full of range shots because you'll get all those bonuses all over the place. I looked at Thalassa because that is again something that can hit whole boards.
Yeah,
like all characters within.
I think it's all within 3.
Yeah, so you could make it happen. It's not going to be a first turn key play. It's going to kick off turn 2. So you got to if you're trying that in multi, you got to make sure to disguise the straight flush.
Yeah.
Don't let anyone know you have it.
Don't look over here. I'm not doing anything. That is nice though with her because she has that built. You don't have to. I mean, you have to draw spells to boost the DC up, but
just spells.
Yeah.
It doesn't. There's no. And then what? She makes everything water, so she doesn't even force any other tech. You just wizards plus spells, which should be how you play your deck anyway.
Yeah, you know what? You could do her with You mentioned Audrey earlier. You can do her and Audrey because that should affect the entire action, right?
See how I think so. So got everything open here. Helps if I spell things right. Madre is not a card. It's just mother. After one of your elves targets an opposing character, add 5 to the DC. Yeah. And with blanket targeting, that would be, I think that would apply for all, but it might not because it's when you target a character with a DC save. So it adds 5 to that DC save. I don't know if it would carry. Maybe. But yeah, that's what I got for elves. I mean, I put on like Kilkameth could do some stuff and pop some Force the Bone in some opposing armies and do some weird stuff. But that's like all my elf tricks.
Okay.
Free Kingdoms didn't have a lot of tricks. It didn't feel like you've got the Beastmaster Eladric, Captain Alara, so you got the extra stats and just run lycanthropes and kind of be aggressive. Any sort of blitzy Adarami plus friends. Second, for Sir Robert or Keziah, anything like that would just work well with an Adarami and throw some big low level.
Yeah.
I would steal from one of my Highlander decks is my Khan Moloch deck, because Khan Moloch is amazing.
I believe you. Every time I play him, all I use him for is just to give my guys stealth. It's just a little extra potential layer of defense.
But the advances, from when he was printed, and what they later changed stealth into, is huge. So you just go with a deck full of Rangers and Scouts, and whether that's starting Captain Alara or Huntress of Volda or who else? There's one other Ranger Warlord. So they've got built-in stealth, and you just use that for
Kara Wadrith has Ranger,
yeah. So you got that just for the cancel the strike. Not planning on moving things in and using the rest of Khan Moloch's ability. Just give everyone stealth and let them deal with it.
Yeah.
I did write down here, if you're looking for something like an unreasonable number of wounds, Ravenous the Elder with Uriel. So the Elder is going to give Uriel power attack and riposte on initiative.
Yeah, and then Uriel's already doing 3.
Yeah. So you just need now to find a way to deliver the shot, whether that's a Votar Charm or Whirlwind Boots or all the things we use for Dragon Slaying decks.
You got Hammer Toss, you got Pike. You have things you can do, yeah.
Samuel and Albrecht go nicely together.
I'm sorry,
that's a lot of strike with a lot of boost.
Yeah, you haven't seen this, but that's one of Clint's pairings that he was talking about. I do like that. I figured Samuel with I Am Unsullied because I don't have to worry about removing those cards, and he's level 5, so he can play some other stuff. I think either one is good.
Then you can look at some like rank wide boost sort of tricks. So what a combination of either Tarak, Niobe, and Travaine Cartwright can work well together, all in the same rank. Going, and who's the other? Free Kingdoms Paladin, the 4th edition Paladin.
Seraph All Havoc?
Seraph, because that's another, he gives riposte 4 on top of Niobe being spent and giving riposte and more reacts, and it all kind of stacks into where, I thought I was safe to attack you. And then you get punished. So yeah, Freaks didn't have a whole lot on that list. Now
I do think I don't know if you'll consider this to be relevant or not. One of the advantages, maybe not from double Freaks, but that Freaks have in general is, you can get that Bakbo Mbala Borg Ferris start to somewhat reliably get, if you're playing someone who wants to run to the front and their name is not Artec and you need the means to do it. You can start those
and people forget that Borg Ferris exists. So yeah,
never forget that Borg Ferris exists.
Yeah. Additionally, there's one of the Iskars. I use them in a number of decks for an extra strike. So you just move up, get your extra strike, go to town. The level 2 removes from game to give a permanent +0.
I can't remember his name. He's the rogue with 2 strikes, yeah.
Yeah. But you can use that and plan on it, and since you have an extra fighter, Warlord that you can commit, take an EM, give him a 5th swing, send him
it's a Kirisisaurus
into the breach.
Yeah.
Mercs were a challenge to come up with anything that was really, really exciting. Bran Sagula and being just able to use his ability to get a dragon, which kind of goes to the Highlander effects. So use his ability and get a Silver Peak?
Golden Peak. Yeah.
Golden Peak on turn 2 reliably and be able to play with that as a strategy. And choose your other Warlord to go with them. Krusen, Beskar, and Shassis, so you can make everything into a monster.
Oh, all the monsters
with an extra +2.
Yeah, plus Shassis too. You can speed your guys up to the front lines. Too.
Everything will be a monster. You'll just send him up to clean house, and every kill is a cavalry movement, and you've got a cleric to back him up with a cure lethal or other friends.
Yeah.
Menatary and Nemesis feels like it should work, and it feels like it would be very oppressive in the remove levels and just smoke low level things.
Yeah.
But I didn't like fully think out how their interactions may or may not work together. And the last is just, oh, come on, brain. I was trying to remember the Carabas's mercenary band.
The Dark Horseman?
So straight up, yeah. I'm embarrassed to forget that.
You are a Dark Horseman, aren't you?
I know. That's why I'm super embarrassed. But doing General Lund and Carabas.
Oh yeah, that's good. I like that.
Yeah, you just go, hey, I'm gonna stay here in rank 2 or rank 3. Keep readying the big K and bring a friend along. So Valadin shows up, Blitzer shows up. You get their readies along the way, and just keep swinging. Now maybe I'd try to go and mirror my existing deck that's Highlander. I call it White Hats. It's all good aligned fighters except for like Demon of Kavar and Ghostbog.
Okay.
So it's already half built. It's okay. It's all stuff that's not going to get the penalty from Carabas, because that's the other is you've got that extra penalty against evil stuff.
His 4th edition MRP.
Yeah. So just keep swinging. I mean, what, four out of the 6 factions are primarily evil, and
yeah, I think too, and this I think one of the advantages that whether you're doing straight mercenary or mercenary something else is a lot of the staple, like in Ancients, everyone's throwing in a Tauren into their deck and they don't really think about it. But if you're not bringing a Merc, you're not getting Tauren, you're not getting Forge, you're not getting Ghostbog. Like there's a lot of stuff that people may have taken for granted in their normal decks because it's a mercenary, it's going in. But here, if you're not bringing a Merc, like you're not getting
no Tower of the Steel Rose for you.
Yeah.
Ooh, with a Bakbu to do his thing later. I mean, there's not Tower of Steel Rose. Sorry, Temple of Lore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that my Merc list is real small. Now Nothrogs again. I mean, there's the siege engine kind of self builds.
Yeah, I like the idea of the double siege Nothrog deck.
Yeah, it makes, and there's enough siege characters that you're gonna feel real good. Krenthor Sargok is a math problem. Okay, my guy has a wound. You have a wound. I'm now up to plus 12 on my level 2 guy. He's doing 2 wounds apiece. It's going to math out really well.
Well, especially if memory serves too. Since Sargok is looking at the entire board state, there could be, if you're playing a big multiplayer game, say there's 4 or 5 players, there could be 2 people duking it out somewhere, and unbeknownst to them, it's like your forces are, they're getting buffed from that.
Yeah, they're all opposing characters. So yeah, that's plus 3 attack for every wound that has landed.
I like it.
And then there's a slight variation, and that's either Krenthor probably, with Fatrika. So now you're able to go for distance.
Hammer toss everything, yeah.
And Krun Sargok is also a thing that we should be scared about, because then that's 3 wound crunning, and heaven forbid you're able to pull off a Secret of the Suns out of that.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is, but it's bad. Just had a thought. Let's see. High Priest Nasserol can work in different ways, mostly just as a piece, because then you're getting a level 3 when other people are not.
Yeah. And
that might be a level 3 siege engine that you then combine with Savone or Skyrax. Yeah, those were kind of my Nothrog high picks. There were some others that will probably just like form naturally, whether that's doing ranger tricks and doing both rangers or both barbarian tag teams, since you have a lesser chance of having it not work out for you.
Yeah.
And I have one chosen matchup.
Okay.
I've got me and my buddy Mike ran for a while using Naram Sin and Ningula in doubles, and we wouldn't get the benefits of all of our stacking cards all working together to trigger, which will slow it down. But yeah, in doubles we were reliably turning Naram Sin into fighter cleric by turn 2 at the latest.
I haven't played him too much. I was playing Ningula for a while, and I did pretty well with her.
Ningula, that she doesn't care whose chosen it is, so just being able to to target your other warlord and give them an extra +3 AC and skill and attack. And then once you can trigger Naram Sin and turn them into force wings, yeah, you just stand behind that and keep casting. Well, it's Highlander, so see, we do a gift from above, a mass blessing, a quick shielding. All those AC boosts are also nicer in multi because they, or even in all cases where you're kind of holding up behind it because they last until the end of turn.
Yeah.
Attack boost only lasts until I swing, but an AC boost lasts through all of your swing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even though Naram Sin becomes a fighter, he still stays a cleric though. So he can cast Aegis, he can throw on a healing potion, a Balm Tears potion. He has options.
Yeah. So you have the purple team at least can play in this game. Highlander really hits them hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, those were. I think that's most, if not all, of my goofy ideas. And yeah, I like the idea. I think I like more the idea of trying it out in a head-to-head, just because you're breaking the rank structure rules with the 4-3-2. You're breaking the Warlord rules. You're getting some synergies that by design shouldn't happen.
Yeah, I think how do I put what I'm about to say? The way we used to play like EDH in Magic, it almost wasn't a game per se. It was almost like, I don't want to say an experience because that's probably not the right word, but it's like when we sat down to do this, we know we're probably losing a couple hours to this. For the most part, like obviously we're trying to win, but like there's so much random crap going on, and like there's probably a bunch of things for a format like this that are like I'm probably just missing because like my mind's not wired to think in a way that would be conducive to winning serious 1v1s in this format. So I suspect that my experiences with this, because again, I'm more than likely when I'm playing this, it's not going to be just me and one person. It's going to be me and several people. Probably not going to see quite the same amount of evolution and understanding as what you would get with what you just said about doing a head-to-head or a 1v1.
Well, and there's some elements that are just good from the Highlander standpoint. If a card is search your deck for a weapon or like loot. And I can't remember the other. There's another rogue item.
There's inheritance, loot. I think
inheritance. There you go.
Stealing from the dead is one that nobody plays.
Yeah. So any of those. Search your deck for an item. Hey, that is extra good in a format where you don't have duplicate items, and one item may be more key for this situation.
Yeah.
And by design, you've got extra variety in there anyway. So, no, you're throwing a lot of range strikes. Hold on, what do I have in here that's good against that? Yeah. And, similarly, anything that lets you search for characters. Dwarves running Summon Gargoyle. Just like, okay, it is I got one copy of it. It's a level 4 spell, but it's going to get me a Gargoyle, which is going to have solid stats that I know I can play.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for Dwarves, my initial impression...
And it's going to be Nilrim every time. It's really Summon Nilrim, but...
Well, I mean, Dwarves can start Noria, and he doesn't even necessarily need the Summon Gargoyle. Every card in his hand is a Summon Gargoyle once per turn.
Yeah, so you just keep the things running. Card draw is great, so even without the Guildmaster benefit, you can get the extra card draw.
Oh, off of the Duchess?
No, I wasn't thinking Duchess. I was thinking Elf.
Oh, Belial, yeah.
Yeah, card draw off of Belial, card draw off of Nothrog with the belt. Dude, Barbarian.
Oh, Kothka,
yeah. Kothka draw. Like I got 70 cards. I don't expect to make it through them all.
Yeah.
Let's go find something good. Heck, you could even look at doing something like Kontal and searching out sieges.
Yeah, Kontal Trebuchet. Can't hide.
Kontal Trebuchet, Sorsha, or even Alisara, just to make sure you get the ones you want versus the ones you got.
Yeah.
So that's all just like in my mind. It's good Highlander is starting armies and warlord abilities that are going to feed off each other and give you a guaranteed resource effect that'll benefit you. Whether it's doing Seth and doing an all siege starting lineup, okay, I at least have one extra strike I can generate based on this setup. If I drew nothing but fighter items, I can strap them all on my warlord and walk forward, and I still get something more than just being a Kron.
Yeah.
But yeah, the straight up there is the do a suicidal fighter run and then hope they cause enough damage as they go that your second warlord can finish the task.
Yeah, again, you also have, I think, assuming the rules to this don't change, you potentially have the option to do, if you have a cleric backing you up, say you're doing cleric fighter, your fighter can go do all his thing. He can play Hero's Gambit, and then you have what is it? Death is but a door and Grey Elf's Gratitude that you can use to bring him back.
Then put him right back into play.
And especially if it's somebody like, and I think this is the example in Clint's section. Albrecht, you don't need 5 ranks to play Albrecht because he's only level 3. So so he'll be back in the fray in no time. Okay, so it sounds like we've gone over. Did you have any other decks you wanted to or parries you wanted to discuss?
That was all those. I did just. Okay, come on, brain. Oh, what we didn't really cover was the 2. I think it's only 2 warlords that break the rules in their own setup. Ferris Bachman and come on, Illusionist Zartok. You can. It's just I'm not sure. I mean, Zartok. It's hard to make the case that he's ever good. Ferris, at least you're bringing a level 5 and at rank 3.
Oh no! Are you talking about pairing them together or just having extra warlords? Because Clint and I do this. Like, if you watch,
just pairing them and not necessarily pairing them together, just individually as approaches to this alliance's concept. They're the ones that you get to have more cards than one of. So
I don't know. I don't know if by the rules is written. I don't actually know if Zartok. Yes, you can bring more. You can bring extra Zartoks because it specifies you can have up to 5 of him. I think by the alliance's rules as written at the moment, I don't know if you can actually take more Ferrises because I don't think the statement you can include other copies of him qualifies him for
a specific number because that's the way they worded that. Ooh.
So I'm assuming that's going to get ironed out at some point. I'm just some random nobody here in California. I am hoping that maybe Josh or Woodrow or someone on the rules team kind of addresses some of these things because that was a question I had there. There was the dual faction thing because again the example they give for what characters you're allowed to play does not seem to line up with what the actual rules are. So the rules say you have to share a faction with one of your warlords, but the example says if you're running, like I think it's a Freak Nothrog, you can't play devs, elves, dwarves, or chosen. But what about multi-class characters? He fits the rule, but he doesn't fit the example. I guess the other thing.
It's a good question.
I guess the other thing too, and maybe I don't know if you'll know the answer to this. One card I was thinking could potentially be kind of nice in this format is. Do you remember Distrust?
Yes.
Because I have a feeling you're gonna find something to use this on, mostly because it looks to me, just from my perspective on this, if you have a good warlord and an evil warlord, any character in your army is going to be both the same alignment as your warlord and a different alignment as your warlord. So you should be able to hit practically anything with Distrust, and it's a spend order to kill somebody. So.
Yep. And I'm trying to remember what the other one was.
Oh, there was another Distrust card?
Kill somebody off faction.
I want to say there's something called like Loyalty to the Coin that does that to mercs, but I can't remember.
Yeah, yep. Loyalty to the Coin is target a mercenary if their warlord makes a charisma check, DC based on the mercenary's level, lower DC if the warlord is a mercenary. If they fail, the thing goes away, and you get to search your deck for character.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's not what you were talking about. I think
there's one that's similar to Distrust, except for it's target a character whose faction is different than their warlord.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one.
So I'm going to see if I can figure out how to do a little search on that.
The alignment thing in particular I thought was kind of cool because if you remember Brian and Mingen from the Champion set, Brian, she's that... If she is both good and evil at the same time, she looks really good. She's doing the double wound. Yeah. She's got like a +8, +7 or something along those lines, but she's also got like I think medicine and defend and like a fairly solid armor class at that point. So
she's solid as a either.
Yeah, I do play her in a couple decks where my warlord is evil, but the idea of her having both of those. In addition, Jacob Winrider has his ability where he copies your Warlord's classes and
Yeah.
traits. Does he get both of them? Like, I don't know why he wouldn't, but again, I'm not sure. So,
Yeah, or I mean, the one that I run in a number of decks. Oh, come on, you're wrong. Oh, not an action. Ixie from 4th edition. If your Warlord is mercenary, he gains your Warlord's classes. So you got a level 2 that can.
oh,
be...
he's that gargoyle thing, right? He's like an imp or
Yeah,
something like that.
he's a method.
Yeah.
I mean, not that there's a whole lot you can do with an extra level 2 wizard, fighter, cleric, rogue, but
Yeah.
options.
Okay.
Yeah, we got. You're gonna have some time to trim.
Yeah, it's fine. It's actually not that bad now that I figured out the program. So, do you have any final thoughts on the Alliances format?
Nothing that really sticks out. It could also be a fun one to throw challenges at friends with. Do these two together. Go.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I asked this. This is actually one of the first questions. Are you even excited about this format?
I haven't put a whole lot of brain power in on it yet. I don't get to play much. I don't have any local players, and I'm not doing any of the online. There's not enough time in my world. But I will definitely. I mean, if moreover, as long as like people are throwing some fun games down at cons or whatever, I will take the time to put together a big old deck and make something that works.
Nice.
I'm also realizing I didn't use very many of the 20th anniversary Warlords in here, so one or two of those might need to
make the cut.
Make the cut. Well, and you had the idea with Salazar and
Salazar and Princess Eliza. Yeah.
So they're all thralls.
Yeah, the thing about that like when I was kind of analyzing these after I recorded my segment of it, one I mentioned this in Clint's thing, but Salazar, he doesn't turn himself into a thrall because he is a demon. I didn't realize he was a demon, but he turns Eliza into a thrall, so she can use her readying ability on herself if she needs to, and he can also kill her to go find a level 6 monster. Like if you needed something crazy, like I don't know, like Urus the Ugly or Sithis Sutek King, I think is his name. There are things you can do, yeah.
And just pondering, because if you do that trick, you're in a good spot to use Kali or Calais, whatever. Level 2 chosen. Your non-opposing thralls within one rank get +1/+1/1.
Yeah.
And now that your Warlord's a thrall, and probably everything else that you put on the table is specifically chosen to not be a monster, so...
Yeah, I think my deck is split about half between things like Valadan, because Valadan will become a thrall, and the actual just thralls in the chosen. It's like, I think I did like a mostly 50 split between those and demons and monsters. Some of the decisions that I'm probably going to be including I don't think are necessarily good, but I want to play them, so I'm going to.
Well, so yeah, I have a deck that does some of that tricks out of Salazar. I use pull the strings, and then I kill their guy to go get something.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah.
In their ranks, Valadan has shown up in your army. What do you do?
That's a good time.
Not Valadan. It'd be because it needs to be a monster.
Oh, he'd have to be a monster. It could be Blitzer. Yeah. I mean, no one wants Blitzer to show up.
The Cutting North Wind. It's all fighters with some decent movement to run to the front, because I do use a few of those tricks, so then I can do it to my own.
Yeah.
But then I've got Stolen Destiny and Pull a String, so that I can do it to theirs.
Yeah.
And it runs. I don't want to oversell it by saying smooth, but it chews through its own cards fast.
Yeah, I can believe it.
I've played games with it. I go through my deck for search. Nope. All the monsters have been played. I know it's only turn 3, but I've played them all. I'm out of funk.
Oh dear.
Alrighty. Well,
I guess on that note, this was a great discussion, Rich. Again, I really appreciate you joining me on this and giving me your insights. Definitely, you have a different perspective on this than I do.
I don't want to say I'm not going to oversell it as saying it's a good perspective, but it has weathered. At least the Highlander portion has weathered a number of games, a large number of games.
Yeah.
And yeah, adding in. So there was another format that Jersey did once as a event that I happened to be at back, I think, when I was doing Dragonlord challenges and flying everywhere. It was their double-edged sword.
You did mention this to me before, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a standard 3-2 in your Warlord. You did get a second Warlord, had to be same faction. But if either of the Warlords died, you lost. So you could do like an Artek and Fatrika, but you just got to keep Artek alive as he goes and runs through. And I think that was only the one-off that I remember that event. And I put together a wild Marcus Shaw Varsinya Scar that was throwing down Free Kingdoms, Lycanthropes, and I think Nothrog beat sticks to cover up my mercenary failings. It was just a mental experiment of what weirdness I could put on the table.
Yeah, that sounds 3 factions. It would have been interesting if I was just saying it would have been interesting if memory serves, one of the last sets that was being worked on when 4th edition was out. I want to say the Warlords in that one were supposed to be dual factioned.
I may still have my draft version of that document somewhere.
Ooh.
And remember, we had like an undead siege engine that was Nothrog, like a bone catapult that was a Nothrog elf. I think ultimately we had, I think they were all like level. I think all the multi-factional Warlords were level 4 multi-class, and then there were at least a character that existed that was every class or every factional combination.
I just thought it's kind of cool that now, what is this, 10 or whatever years later, 15 years after 4E started, or 4E ended, we're kind of seeing almost a parallel evolution of that kind of gameplay of multiple faction Warlord, if you wanted to.
Well, it just opens up design space and it opens up play space to, hey, it would be cool if I could do this and not have to play it stunned.
Yeah.
Well, there were a number of times in campaign. I remember one of the ones that I actually tournament I won. Second place player was running Elf. He was running Wraith. No, he was running Varsinya Scar, running right to the front. But he was playing out of faction Uthanax Towers to get +5 AC in riposte.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a play I wasn't expecting. But he just keeps throwing more of those out. And it's like, it's kind of like a Temple of Lore. That's the thing you've got to kill before you can reasonably focus on the Warlord. So it's another bonus hit point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess on that note, Rich, it has been great chatting with you again. Thank you for joining me.
Always.
A few moments later.
I am also being joined today by Chris Vack, Nirvana Tool himself. How you doing today, Chris?
I am doing rather well. How are you, Zach?
I'm better than I deserve. Really appreciate you coming on and giving your thoughts on this Alliances format. I think probably out of the, because it's you and I mentioned there's a couple other people that I have segments on. You and I have a feeling are probably on polar opposites of the what is the word I'm looking for this? When I play Warlords, sometimes a single game will take like 2 hours because I'm not just playing, I'm talking to my friends, and you're seem to be a fairly regular on the competitive scene where you're on a clock and everything like that. So I think it might be interesting to see what you make of this.
I know, but it's so funny too because like we are on polar opposites. But before we even kind of get into it, I just want to say, as a fellow content creator for Warlord, I'm just excited that you are bringing that fresh perspective to this. So that's why when you reached out to me to like, let's do that, I'm like, I'm all on board. I'll put on the casual hat. Let's make it happen.
Nice.
So like I'm really excited to talk, but the funny part is like you reach out to me and you're like, hey, do you like Alliance? I'm like, I'm on record as say like I'm not really a fan of this format, but just kind of, I know it's super popular and I know that there is a huge market for it, and there's so much potential in this format. So like I feel like I kind of have to kind of delve into it. So I have kind of taken an interesting route when it comes to this, and with deck building and just my whole perspective on Alliance in general. So I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and talk, because I also kind of I know you've already covered it in probably the other parts of this video, but I'm sure you've shared your joy with this format, especially from the casual side.
It's a speculative joy because I haven't actually gotten to play it yet. So most of my stuff is theory right now, but it mostly revolves around like what kind of cool things can I do. I have a feeling that if I kind of like the way I play EDH or Commander in Magic. Like, I have fun with my friends, but as soon as anyone serious shows up, it's lights out for me. Like, I'm going to last for a very, very short period of time.
See, that's the fun part, though, with Alliance. Like, the cards themselves, and I think the rules themselves kind of lay into this statement I'm about to make, but I think the cards really don't matter in this format at all. That's my hot take.
That is a bold statement, sir.
Because the Alliance format is, as we know, it's meant to be played with 4 people at a table. And anytime I've played a game like that, whether it be Commander or, I used to be big into the Game of Thrones LCG. There was a melee format, which is the same thing, 4 people at a table. And that is literally just all table talk. It's a kingmaker game. You can talk your way into winning. All the best players from that kind of format are ones that can, downplay their threat, or they can just, convince you that the other person is the bigger problem and then sneak out their way.
I have seen this in maybe not so much the card gaming, but it's everyone's played it, I'm sure, at this point, but games like Settlers of Catan, you have that one guy who always wins, and you try to tell everybody he is going to win if you don't keep him in check, and he goes, no, I'm not a threat, I'm not doing anything, and then in one turn, game over, guys, sorry, and it's like, I'm using plain simple English, but yeah.
That is a very good analogy of why I don't want to sit down at an Alliance table, because they're like, wait, you're Chris Vack. You make all those contents. You play all those games. I see you. You play really good. You're a competitive guy. Oh, I can't trust you. You got to die first. I'm like, well, I'm so glad I don't get to play this game.
Yeah,
so, that's the drawback of it.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna really try not to put words in anyone's mouth, but I think Rich is actually looking at this more from a 1v1 perspective than an actual group setting, because I think I'm gonna try not to. Actually, I won't even try. I do agree with you. It does very much seem like I don't know if you ever played L5R. In L5R there was something very similar when you played group games. There was an order in which players had to die based on how quickly they could materialize a win out of nowhere. And so it's almost like if you're playing one of those factions, you may as well not even show up.
Gotcha. Yeah, I never played the L5R multiplayer, and I did delve into New 5R during my FFG days, but I'm sad to admit that. But we could do a whole other podcast on L5R.
Nice. Okay, so then it's whether it's multiplayer or not, it's I guess it's a Friday night, sitting down with the guys, and you have that stack of cards that's in your hand right now. Everyone's putting their 2 warlords on the table. What are you putting on the table?
So, what inspired me and what inspired my warlords is I've been seeing what a lot of people do. There's been a lot of chatter about, well, this is an open format, so like people can really bring their $2,000 Medusan Lord cards and just play them, and like this is what we want from this format, or at least that's what's in the rules of it.
To be fair, I would be okay with that in the right, like, because I mean it just imagine, like, obviously I am never going to get myself a Medusan, but it would be fun just once to find a way to put one of them to play and to start clubbing people with it. That would be great.
I can see that. I do have multiple Medusan Lord cards, and so I was like, well, and even when talking with some of my friends, they're like, oh yeah, you have, Orvok Granifal, you're going to try and do something with him, right? And I go, well, no, I'm going to do the exact opposite.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to find all commons and uncommons. I'm going to throw them in a deck. I'm going to have 0 sleeves, and I'm going to wrap them in rubber band. So what can I do?
I'm going to do my best to attach that picture you sent me, because that's like, it's beautiful.
Please do. Yes, I hope so. But I was like, let me just dig into my bulk commons and uncommons and build a deck. And that's what I did. I sat at a table, and I'm like, what can I do? And just trying to think of the warlords as well, like who kind of best goes into that, like, that common peasants theme, and it's like, oh my god, Free Kingdoms are perfect for this.
Yeah.
Let me go with Keziah Firehair and Captain Ducat.
Oh.
It's like I have a bunch of little Free Kingdoms who do range strikes and multiple strikes, and they just go very, very fast, and they get high bonuses. And I was
Yeah.
like, all the stuff that you need for them is all common or uncommon. So I was able to just start digging through my extra bulk and put together a full list. And I'm mostly proud of the starting army because there's cards like level 2 starters that in this format we'll see play when you don't really see play. Like, for example, Alfred, the level 2 freaking
Oh,
wizard.
that's right, the wizard, yeah.
Yeah, he's a spend order, perform a number of +1 range strikes equal to the number of characters adjacent to Alfred. So this format gives you those 2 strikes right away.
He's almost like a guaranteed Glenn the Blaze at that point. Like, you get the second shot no matter what, unless they kill one of the other people first. Nice.
And you can also have Scarlet sitting right next to him. So first action, 3 shots.
Yeah.
So you sit there with your cheap cards, your commons and uncommons. You're ready to do a whole bunch of range strikes in one action. So you sit there and kind of like I do, you table talk. You let you either try and goad out whoever the big honcho is, who the threat is, and then you just obliterate their army, or just make a pact with somebody at the table and be like, hey, I can get this person off if this is really who you're afraid of. And the hope would be that sure, you might be doing a lot of little strikes up front early on, and then maybe you run out of steam, but you probably won't. And I think most people are going to try and do some kind of crazy combo or some kind of Uber. So, like, if it's Uber, you might be in trouble. But everybody else, like, if they're trying to do their one combo that just, wins them the game, whatever that may be, that auto win condition, like, that's the one you're killing.
Yeah,
and you can just obliterate their army.
The 2 that were talked about in the other 2 videos, again, I kind of wish I'd been able to get these edited already, but one of them was trying to get a quick a Hand of Power. The level 6, all opposing characters have to make a save or take a wound.
Oh boy.
There was that, and then there was Secret of the Suns, which is that one of those 9th level actions where you can spend a bunch of characters to buff your level, and it's a +6 against every opposing character within 2 ranks. Now, I don't think there's any real way to search for these reliably, but as far as haymakers go, those are the ones that have impressed me the most so far. But I'm looking at just the 2 warlords here. Scarlet next to Glenn is what I play in my Ducat, but you don't just have Ducat's bonus. You have Keziah also tacking on that twice +3. These are not small opening shots that you're making.
Exactly, and you don't have consistency in the opposing starting army. Everybody's got to run one of copies, so it's not like, all right, cool, I got 4 Brine Fiends. Like, well, no, you get 1. Yeah. That's it. Everybody else is probably some 1 HP little chud that could just go down from a strike.
And I mean, this is, again, maybe this is super dreamland here, but Scarlet, she has marksmanship, so you can shoot with Alfred, you can marksmanship the shot, you can Keziah the marksmanship check, into someone else's rank 2, and then use Keziah's other bonus to do that. And like, I'm a big fan of attacking people's second rank as like one of my first actions, because everybody always has something that just they do not want it to die, and it can tilt people. People can be like, really? And you're like, yeah.
Exactly. I went that extra rank. I got 2 good rolls in a row, and all of a sudden they're tilted. And now from there, all they see anytime you hit, they're like, "Oh, this guy's rolling good," and then they're just getting more and more upset. And I love doing that. So like, I am the same way. But like with this format too, like looking at, all right, so I know now that I built the starting army, and like it's you can do like multiple shots right away. You can run cards like outmatch with like a fighter that you're going to start in the front rank, like say Ryan Mornington, Spencer, or someone like that, Spencer Latham. Like, so you can get a lot of strikes and a lot of actions right away. You could even use cards like Thimblerig to get like some of that extra tempo that are going to be really good in a multiplayer thing, just to do as many strikes as possible right off the bat. Ranging shot comes to mind, so once Scarlet does her shot, she gets another shot at that back rank and can now reach that second rank.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of things you can do just to get tempo in a format that is traditionally slow. So it's kind of a lot of fun. So once you kind of take that shot, like what does the deck do? Well, you can back it with just, bargaining chips or just things that disrupt play. Like, first of all, I think every Alliance deck should have at least meat at the end. Like, people want to play their cards. Yeah. So, like, just doing that, like, skipping your action shows you're not a threat. Like, just draw some cards. Hey, I gave you this favor.
There's an element of goodwill when you say, everyone, I am letting you draw. Exactly. And they all look at you and they smile.
Exactly. But then there's also cards like Steel Fate, which doesn't see a lot of play in constructed unless you're a certain Nothrog warlord that we shall not name.
I still need to try that. I told Rich I would, but I haven't really played too many games since then. So yeah, and Reggen's not very common on the list of things I'm rushing to put on the table.
Oh, you dropped the Dave. I didn't drop that Dave.
And I'll do it again too. Don't think I won't.
I have a reputation with that warlord, or not with that warlord, I should say. But like with Steel Fate, like that's perfect because like you can just auto stop something, but then you can even just say like someone's gonna play an action. It's like, do you really need that action? Like I can give you a whole bunch of cards if you really want, and then like kind of make an alliance with that person to go and take out the one threat that maybe you can't get to this turn.
Yeah.
So like just pack it with things like that. Another one I want to talk about too is Confound. This is a card that came out in 4E. It's a wizard spell, level 2. Spend react after target character targets a strike. Redirect a strike to another character if possible. If this wizard is illusionist, you may cancel this strike instead, but you never want to cancel it. This is a card I used when I played a lot of double Warlord back in the day with 2-on-2. Like, the opponent will take a shot. You just redirect it to their teammate because it doesn't have to say that it has to target an opposing character.
Yeah,
it just
interesting.
Redirect it to another strike. So this spell becomes defense and offense. It's almost like a reflective shot. So if someone's going to take a big shot at you, you just throw it right back onto them.
Yeah, well,
or
in
somebody
addition
else.
to that, Confound, there's no check or anything. There's no level limitations. It's just, Krun is punching something and you go, actually, you're punching this. I like that.
Exactly. So you can do that, and worst case scenario, it's a wizard spell that you just discard to Dukat.
Yeah.
So, but there's a lot of really cheap stuff in the deck, but like there's so many commons and uncommons that still are just so impactful. Like Kylia Smythe can just take off someone's warlord by herself. Like someone falls forward or moves one of their level 2 characters, and then you hit them with a +5 range strike at a Dukat, and now they're up in the front rank and in danger with 3 other players getting ready to throw stuff at them.
I used her quite a bit in 4th edition. I'm a big fan of her.
Yeah, she's a fantastic card, and even better in Alliance. Just got better. But yeah. So that's kind of what I wanted to go with for this. Like, I did try and build another okay, let me try an infinite combo deck where it's like you run a tier 2, the level 4 chosen, the level 5 chosen summoner, and Salazar, the promo.
Oh yeah,
that makes everybody.
Salazar's
one of
the ones I'm running. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, all right, pair those 2 and then drop a Resh, draw my whole deck, and then get infinite melee strikes using Duana and Aresh. Like, I tried building that, and I'm like, it's kind of okay, and it's solitaire, but who wants to play solitaire when you got 4 people at a table?
Yeah,
go at them.
I mean, that's the okay. We'll go into. I guess I'll do a little bit of a story time here. So that's one of the things that I don't know if this format is going to turn into something like what you just described. I think you said that people are I haven't really seen people talking about this format, but I'm also not in the Discord because I'm not that kind of Asian. But I remember like years and years ago, like a long time ago, I used to work at a game store. There was a night where I was at the game store. I was painting because I used to be really big in miniatures, and one of the regular Friday Night Magic. He won most of the time. Called the store and he's like, "Hey, can I bring some people down there to play Magic?" And I'm like, "Well, I guess. I mean, I'm gonna be here for a couple hours." These people, okay, it was him and it was there 5 or 6 other people. I wasn't really paying attention. They go back there to play, and the game takes them a little over 3 hours to play. And the person who won was the person who took the last turn, because every single one of these people was playing mono blue counterspell control. None of them could get any threats into play or keep them in play. And so at some point you would have thought, like, guys, this is dumb. Nothing's happened. Nobody's lost life. At least as far as I can tell, nobody lost life. Maybe that, like, I don't know, they had some lands that could turn into creatures, because they were all playing them. They all killed each other, and they all walked away happy. They were like, "That was great." I'm like, "Are you guys out of your minds? Like, are you kidding right now?" No, they were like, "Yeah." I'm like, this is why I stopped playing Magic. So
that's absolute insanity. And yeah, like even then to me, like I don't think Magic's crazy. Like I still respect the game. I think it's kind of like where a lot of us start from. But even then, I wouldn't say that like, that's normal Magic. Like that's crazy.
It
Having
is.
that many
It
people
is.
sit with Bottle Blue.
I think probably the most head scratching part of all of it was they were all fine with this. They were all completely happy. Like none of them thought it was a waste of time. And so I'm like, well, you guys all won then because you guys had a great gaming experience. I would have probably, yeah. I don't know what I would have done.
Oh man, they're all terrible people, and they are perfect for each other.
It was a sight to see. So,
but that's perfect. But yeah, like other than that, like for this, like that's what I kind of see. Like people can really make Alliance what they want of it. Like I think it's being pushed as like a multiplayer thing, and I kind of really wish at the Kickstarter there might have been some like structure decks or pre-con decks for this format that people can buy like 4 decks and literally play kitchen table. But we didn't get that, and so
that would have been. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So like when you want to do 4-player, like that's what you got to do. But they didn't do that. So how you're talking about going 1-on-1, like I would love to do something like that. But I think you also need a little bit of a restricted list, but like that's just the competitor in me coming. Like I know all the crazy things that you can do with open cards, and it's just kind of like some of them they're not even games.
From what I understand, you can actually play Jatuya Sign in this format. Like,
oh yeah, variables just went exponential with that one.
Yeah.
So like when you do things like that, like you just say like anything goes, like you run the risk of things like you run the things of creating a bad time. But like if everybody goes with the mentality like sure, I'm expecting broken stuff to be just on the table and that's all we're gonna see. Then okay, then whatever floats your boat. But like for a 1-on-1 Ancients format or even like Saga, whenever they get a big enough card pool, like I would love to do a 1-on-1 version of Alliance format. Like that'd be great.
I think also, and I'm gonna try not to repeat myself because I did touch on this before. One of the things that's kind of interesting that separates like the tournament scene Warlord from the local game store. Zach's probably a little drunk and like is. If you guys have, if your play group, you're finding that there are certain things that you don't think should be there, it's your guys' gaming group. You can say, we're not going to play this. Like, we decided we don't want to see exhaustion because too many games were just, did you draw your exhaustion? So we said, guys, we're just not going to bring this. We had too many bad games against, like, Etra Bloodvine. And so we said, we're not that he wins every game, but, like, it's not entertaining. So, guys, we are here to enjoy ourselves. So... and small groups, again, if you have a small local gaming group or an online gaming group that you're playing with, you can customize this kind of however you want to. There was a question of the guild masters, like Belial and Duchess, where half of their ability, the ability to have these out-of-faction characters, I'm pretty positive it doesn't work in this format, but... If your gaming group says, you know what, like, a big part of what makes Duchess is being able to play all the fighters... You guys can come up with on your own selves in your own gaming group. Duchess can bring other fighters, and maybe if she dies, you can't play any of the out of faction characters. But I think that is something I do like about the small intimate groups as opposed to showing up to the not even necessarily competitive events but official events.
And that really brings the D&D identity to this D&D based card game.
Yes,
because then you go to any. The thing that I always found fascinating whenever I went to any seminar about like the creators of an RPG system or anything like that, a lot of the audience questions would be stuff like, oh, what happens with this rule or what happens in this situation? And the response is always the same from the game makers. They're kind of like, just do whatever you want. Like whatever you think works. Like as long as you can argue for it, like just go for it. Like we give you the structure, you can bend it and shape it to however you want, because at the end of the day, you think you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, you're really playing Dungeons and Tangents. That's exactly what you're really playing, and you can do that with this too. So like, I mean, I love exhaustion. You hurt my try hard heart when you say get rid of the card that defines like skilled play.
I meant it too. Like there was nothing insincere about when I said that, but
it's like I want no fear for my actions. I don't want to have to think about what I have to play and when I play it in order. But like that's what exhaustion does to a game. But if you remove that, then it's like cool. I don't have to think about anything. All right, cool. I can just focus on having fun. So I get it.
I think for me, and again, I don't know if you want me to defend my stance a little bit because it won't really take all that long.
Go for it.
Basically, what my again, I'm obviously you are like a magnitudes better player than me. You have way more experience than me, and you're probably quite a bit smarter than me too. What we found, what we found with exhaustion was it tended to punish disproportionately the lower tier warlords. Like a really good example, and this is even before campaign edition started, was Rack Ironbone. Like, I liked Rack Ironbone, and there were too many times where it's like, I can play Rack Ironbone, but I'm not using his ability because someone's going to spend a Jigorl, and, well, you shouldn't have done that. And then it's like, things like that, things like, I think the last time, I think the time that got us to call it was, someone was playing, what is his name? Grantek Rageblade. And was going for the record strikes. Okay, he had equipped an Axe of Turgoth, spent it, ditched it for... I don't remember what he ditched it for, but this dude had, like... He had a bunch of swings. And on the... I don't think it was the last one, but, like, the second to last, charging up, someone said, "You're spent." And it was like, well, that was... Yeah, and then... So it turned into, like, why play Grantek Rageblade? Because I want to play Grantek Rageblade. So,
and that's the thing, though. You can do that, and you just, what you do. You build. You either just make them have it, or you build around it and almost kind of bait it out, or like the same thing. Like, Rack, go ahead. You can spread Rack. That's fine. I still got a Bear Soul, and I'll no prisoners off of that, and I'll outmatch the guy who falls forward, and I'm still Rack Ironbone. Yeah, even though if I don't need to turn my card sideways.
But
and you did it for me.
He denied me anywhere from 2 to, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 attacks, depending on my other gear. And he did so with a card that it doesn't just do that. It does so many other things, and it can affect so many other situations. That's just the icing on the cake. That, by the way, if you're playing the wrong Warlord, or playing a Warlord that, has to play around this, you don't really have to play around Rack's ability. You just have to be holding the card in case I use it. That's just my take. I think you are probably, again, from an academic standpoint, I think you are correct. But at least in our group, we just decided we were going to do without it.
Yeah, I would not say that your opinion is unfounded or and there's no logic to it. It's absolutely a good foundation for the reasoning. But yeah, as we said, this could be a whole other podcast.
We said thwarted was okay, and then yeah.
Yeah, thwarted is... See, that's what happens when you balance exhaustion. Yeah. It's like, let it be a little broken, guys. Oh, man. But yeah. So
right.
That's my take on Alliance.
Very, very interesting. Now, do you... Because, again, I don't follow the online scene at all. Do you think they'll ever... I mean, again, maybe this is unfair to ask you. Do you think they'll ever start doing, Alliance events on Untap or whatever, on your guys' I don't even know the name of your guys'...
The Guardians, man. Come on.
The Guardians of the... I thought Guardians of the Storm was the website. Okay, apparently, yeah.
It is the website. Well, like, there is a website of that, but the Guardians of the Storm history lesson started with Don Tsuchiyama.
That dude is freaking awesome.
He is the most amazing person that I know. Sorry, Rich, you suck. Don's better. But Don, when the game was in limbo, decided he wanted to kind of bring a lot of the stalwarts from the community together and just kind of find a way to keep Warlord alive. And he's the one that kind of got everybody together, and that's where, like, the online group eventually, the people who he kind of brought in eventually made the online group, and then we started doing tournaments and all that. So, like, none of this happens without Don, so, like, we have to shout him out. But, like, now absolutely. It's like Don himself, as he was calling himself an old man 20 years ago when we were playing this game, so you could only imagine how old he is now. So, like, he's just kind of like he's there for the love of the game, but he doesn't really play. He doesn't. He supplies cards. That's what he does. So, like, he came up with the name Guardians of the Storm. And it just kind of stuck, like the Guardians. So like, the Guardians run the Discord, online community, and from there we do the tournaments. But for an online Alliance event, it was attempted, and the results were pretty bad, if from my perspective, because there was a 2.5 hour time limit. It's just like the untap.in is where we play these online games. And the multiplayer function, like, it's not really a great user experience. Like, the way you have to switch to see your opponent's screens isn't like sitting at a table. It doesn't mirror that. So, like, it's you don't really... You have to work to see what the other opponent has. You don't have the cards in front of you, so you're not moving things. You're, like, clicking and doing stuff, and it takes a little longer. And, like, table talk will just slow things down. I think...
I see, yeah. I can see that, yeah.
More than half the games ended with no winner and no warlord was eliminated, so they all had to just roll a d20 to see who won, and it's that's not really an event.
Yeah.
So like, but playing at a table, absolutely, like go for it. Like you'll get it done faster.
Huh. Interesting. So just to backtrack slightly, so Guardians of the Storm, I'm assuming this happened after the temple went down, because I don't remember hearing about it then.
Yeah, and it wasn't like, oh, hey, we're here and we're gonna save all you. It was just kind of like Don made like a private Facebook group and like, let's keep in touch. Like, oh, who's gonna do an event? All right, who's running Gen Con? What do you guys have for prize support? Who needs promos? Do we have anyone who wants to run Dragon Lords or things like that? Or do you guys know of any event happening in place and just a way to kind of broadcast it to any of the digital channels we have? Like that was really what the Guardians was about.
Okay, I see.
And then it just grew from there.
Interesting. Okay, well that was definitely some information that I was obviously not aware of, both as far as your online games go and the Guardians of the Storms themselves. So, do you have any final thoughts on alliances? I don't know, Warlord in general. You have the floor for whatever you want to talk about.
Oh man, you're gonna give me a platform? Who would do that?
I can edit, so we're fine.
Exactly. Whatever I say, you could just make me say whatever it is. But in terms of alliance, again, like the approach I would take for it is, don't be intimidated by rich whales putting down big, huge Medusan cards. Do what you want. Do what you like. And if you have that person at the table, please kill them first. That is my thoughts on this.
If you can.
It's the power of three. Josh King argues that. It's like, oh, we don't need to police any list because, oh, if someone sees you doing a broken comment, the other three are just going to kill you. It's so easy. All right, well, let's put Josh's theory to the test.
Interesting. We'll see. I'll check back with you in 6 months or whatever. We'll see how that's worked out for him. So, Chris, thank you so much again for joining me on this.
Been a pleasure.
A few moments later.
Okay, I think that's gonna about do it for this episode. Thank you to anybody who made it this far. Huge thank you and shout out to Clint, Rich, and Chris for joining me and giving me your guys' thoughts and insights on this. All three of those guys are awesome. So I am actually gonna, I guess, kick it over to you guys. Do you guys have any pairings that you have in mind or any strategies you want to try for this Alliance format? Put them down in the comments below. I'd love to read them. Thank you for checking this out, and I will catch you in the next video.